Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and I'm sitting in something quite different and quite special. This is a 1958 XK150. It arrived yesterday. I was at the summer meet, which is very close to my house, and this thing didn't start. And then it started, and then it quit. And they live like 4 or 5 hours away, so they asked if I could have a look at it briefly. We think it's just a simple ignition issue. Like a condenser or something going on. Its point system, everything is completely stock on this car. So they got a hotel overnight, and I did a little bit of troubleshooting last night. And because what he said was he'd fire it up and he just warmed it up a little bit in the morning, and then he'd come back an hour later. So we're going to go in the rally, and it wouldn't start. He has the cold start carb disconnected, that electrical thing, so it's just running on the regular carbs. It's not that cold. He says it starts no problem. I haven't tried a complete cold start of it yet. We'll do that now. So I did the same thing yesterday. I had it running, ran up to temperature, turned it off, came back an hour later, it started right up. However, it idled fine, but at about anything about 2,000 RPMs, there was a slight miss. So my theory is the condenser, because everything is new, and new condensers can sometimes be problematic. I have some old ones that are correct for this car laying around that I know work, so we're going to swap that out. I do have a spare oiled coil as well. I have a spare whole actually distributor for this car. But let me fire it up, and we'll see what it does now, if it still misfires, and then we'll swap out some parts and see if we can get this thing working as it should. So it does show that it is 50 degrees, but I mean, it's been sitting overnight for like, could be about 10 hours. So clutch in, we're in neutral. Let's see. There we go. Without a choke, but there we go. Just light taps when you have an SU with no chokes. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this thing run for a little bit, and then we will see if it still misfires at higher revs. So I'll be back in a little bit. Idle is of course a little bit rough because we're not running on choke. It's actually a little bit chilly morning this morning, but if we bring it up a little bit, it is not misfiring now. It was yesterday. Oh, there it was a little bit. Which really feels like condenser issue to me. I'm actually going to shut it down just because I don't want things to get too warm under the bonnet. I'm going to remove the distributor cap, change out the condenser, and let's see if this makes a difference. Here we have the gorgeous XK engine. Down there is the distributor. These use an earlier type of distributor with screw-in connections. So I do have a spare one of those. I have a spare cap rotor. I do have a spare coil, and I think I'm going to send that along with him, and then he can mail it back to me. Just because this is not something you can get at a generic parts store. There's the auto switch, so the cable down here for the electric choke has been disconnected. We're going to go through these actually in a future video because I have one on my S-Type. But down here is the distributor cap. And what he has done is he has taken the rotor out, he's cleaned it. Just, you know, basic things that you can sort of do with not any tools. But like I said, this is all brand new. The car is fully restored. It was in the Concord with us. Everything is brand new. It was just put back on the road and driven here. So that condenser is nice and shiny. But I think, let me see, it's difficult with the light here. I think that could be the problem. Tiny bit of burn marks on there. Which is odd because he did say he just cleaned it. But I'm going to do a couple things. This is too tight to film. I'm going to check points cap, check that that's correct. I am going to replace the condenser with a good used original Lucas one. and we'll fire this thing back up, see if it makes a difference. Here is the condenser that was in there, and I put in my old one, which I know works. And clean up the rotor a little bit. There was a tiny bit of debris on there, not much. Check the points gap. It's 16 valves, supposed to be between 14 and 16 valves. So that's really good. They look very nice and clean. So I'm gonna put this back together, see how it runs, and if it runs well, maybe we'll take it for a little bit of a drive to see that it pulls and does what it should. Then probably let the thing sit for an hour, see if it starts again, repeat, and hopefully they can drive it home. Started right up, and my impression is that it's actually smoother. I mean, it's colder than before, but it's idling. I think what we'll do is I'll let this thing warm up for a bit. Probably take it outside, see how it does after sitting for a bit like he tried before. See if it fires up again. If that works, we'll take it for a test drive. Back from about a 10-minute drive. Yeah, it is running and drove nicely. Now we'll switch it off, let it sit for a bit, and if it restarts then I hope they can drive it home. I let it sit for about 15 minutes. It started right up and I drove it down here into the gallery. So I'm gonna go pick them up now and hopefully they can drive back home. So update when I know if they've made it or not. It's the next day and I got a report last night that they got to their destination without any issues. They had about a 6-hour drive and, you know, stopping for dinner and things like that. But they got there, car ran well, so he was very, very happy and he said he's gonna send the spare parts back to me. He also does say he wants to upgrade to electronic ignition, so I said I can help him out with that. He'll have a 1, 2, 3 or something like that, and I'll give some guidance over the phone on how to install it. Anyways, that was, you know, a good way of showing how a tiny little thing can stop an otherwise beautiful car from running. So it was a lot of fun to do that. It was just really quickly filmed because they were, you know, they were going and I didn't want to take a long time. So that's why it was just small little things, but ended up being the condenser. Car ran beautifully and they got where they needed to go. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.